Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today I'm going back to this deck that I sort of built up towards the back end of last year and I had a really good time with it. I think we 4-1 2 leagues in a row and we just missed out on the trophy both times. And we're back. So this is a deck that uses Necrodominance and the One Ring to draw a boatload of cards, and then we're going to be doing things like Soul Spike, Sickening Shoal, and March of Wretched Sorrow and these Unmasks to burn our opponent out when we have something like an Ancient Cellarspawn in play. That's basically what the deck is, but it plays quite interestingly. If you go back and watch other videos, you can have a look. We've made a few little changes here. We've now gone up to 4 Cabal Rituals in the main. So we've got 8 ways of powering out the Necrodominance and the One Ring ahead of curve. We did have a couple of fatal pushes, but we don't need to worry about Psychic Frog anymore, and we do have a bunch of removal in this deck. Like, all these cards are removal spells, so we can, and we also got the Fell the Profane too. So we can just sort of lean back on these a little bit more and play a slightly more control-y game sometimes. Which is something that really impressed me with this deck when I have played it, is that we do get to play control and succeed doing that quite often. We have Sheoldred, which is obviously pretty good with Necrodominance or the One Ring, just offsets all the life loss and gains you life when you're drawing cards with Necrodominance. It's pretty good. It's also a nice win condition as well. We can quite easily win through things like Ensnaring Bridge. There's a few other things to mention here. We do have a one-of land, surveil land that we can go and fetch if we need to. We've also got a few fetch lands which can help for trying to get Revolt on our fatal push in this sideboard. We have some Trolls as part of our mana base. These are black cards that can pitch to these spells, and because it has mana value 6, it's pretty good at pitching to Sickening Shoal. So this is just something that is a black card that's also a bit of a land. You'll notice that we are just full-on black cards, no Chromoxes or anything here, because we want to be able to pitch as much as we can to these cards. We've also got ourselves a bunch of lands, Boggart Trawlers and Fell the Profane. This is just yet more removal if we need to be playing that role, and just a bunch of swamps to back that up. Since I last played this deck, Vexing Bauble has been banned. So this means that something that people would try and bring in to try and stop us doing our thing, which we beat quite often anyway, we now don't have to jump through that hoop. We can just carry on doing our thing. So I'm excited to see how this one plays out. Sideboard wise, we've got a little bit more hand disruption if we want that. We've got some opposition agents for things like Doomsday or any of these sort of tricksy lands decks where they're going to be crop rotating for all sorts of stuff. We've got some Graveyard Hate in Leyline of the Void, and then we've just got more copies of this removal. I was trying to work out what removal to put in the deck, and I just thought, why don't I just put more of the removal that works for what our deck's trying to do? Another option here is Contagion, I think it is, which is like the Black Force of Will, where you get to put 2 -2/-1 counters on something, I think it is. We've also got a one-off Cursed Totem. Maybe that should be the Contamination, I don't know. But I just felt like having something there. But yeah, we've got a selection of removal here. Lots of card draw. Just good old-fashioned magic. Using something like Necrodominance to draw a bunch of cards and be busted. Alright, had a lot of fun playing this before. I'm hoping that we'll have an equally good time this time around. So please remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to see my videos early, just £1 a month gets you access to YouTube membership, which allows you to do that. So by all means, check that out. And let's get back to this Necrodominance ring strategy. Alright, let's jam. So our hand for the first game is kind of slow. We have like our payoffs, but we're not going to do anything until turn 3. And there's a reason we've got 8 rituals in our deck. I think we should just mulligan towards the rituals a bit more. So this is slower, but we actually get to do something in the interim by having a Duress. We will need to find another land, but we can surveil land to try and find it. I think this looks better to me. I think we want to keep the Necro and the One Ring. And we probably want to keep the removal spell, which means the Cellarspawn is probably going here. Lair of the Hydra. So we're probably looking at Cradle Control. So this Duress might not have the most amount of targets you've ever seen. I still think I'm going to fire it off though, because we can hit something like a Natural Order or a Green Sun Zenith. Green Sun Zenith. Okay, so we've got Spring Heart and Tuco and White of the Reliquary to worry about. Okay. I imagine they probably play the Nantuko first. So they just put the Nantuko in and then play their land drop. But we'll see. We don't know what our opponent's drawing either. There is the White of the Reliquary. Okay. So now they're going to do this and play the Spring Heart and Nantuko. So they're more concerned about getting the White of the Reliquary doing its thing than they are about getting the tokens. Interesting. Okay. So March of Wretched Sorrow could kill this White of the Reliquary and leave them with not a lot going on. So this is... How much are we paying for this? We need to discard 1 card here. So we can get rid of this Necrodominance and just work towards the One Ring. Or we can get rid of this March of Wretched Sorrow and just not have any removal. I think we're just going to play it to the One Ring here. X is currently 3. kill this white. Because obviously the white plus the Spring Heart is a bit of a combo. They just get whatever land they want every turn. So we'll take this one out. They can't evoke anything like an Endurance here because they don't have a green card in hand. They've got to buy you. They've got a main deck Fairy Macabre. They can blow us out here. Alright, I thought so. So we will need to find a piece of mana acceleration or another land to deploy this One Ring. But I think that's fine. Now we're just playing a slow controller game. Alright, so we can kill this Spring Heart. I'm thinking they're going to play this Bayou and get our token. Okay, they played a Dried Arbor, so we have Poet's Information. So next time we can just kill this Spring Heart. Okay, they're going to animate this Lair of the Hydra. Okay, so maybe we want to kill the Lair of the Hydra next time, instead when it attacks. That's certainly an option. If we can draw a Dark Ritual or Cabal Ritual, we can just play the One Ring and then we can do whatever we want from that point onwards. Okay, we did not do that. So this is going to be too big for us to interfere with. So we probably just play the Shadowy Backstreet, so we're guaranteed to play the One Ring next turn. We don't need this Troll, this can go into the graveyard. And then I will just March of Wretched Sorrow and just take out the Spring Heart and Tuco. It means that the Cradle is doing slightly less. And we don't have to worry about them having more and more guys. Alright, so they're going to play this, which is basically free because of the Cradle. They play out their Bayou. They're just going to fire up this Lair of the Hydra and they're going to put all their mana into it. And we're going to get hit for a big chunk here, but then we get to One Ring. And hopefully the 3 cards we get off of it before our Shield of Protection goes down is enough to deal with whatever they've got going on. We just need a removal spell off of it, and then we can deal with the Hydra. So this is what, 10 life? Sure. That's going to put us to 8, which is obviously going to be significant in terms of us paying life to the One Ring, but our deck has a whole bunch of life gaining. Let's play this. Let's go and get ourselves the basic swamp, so we can get anyway. Let's draw some cards, or draw a card, and get a nice little shield. What do we got? A Boggart Trawler. That can chump block for a turn, which is not nothing. But it's also a black card that we can fire into whatever. Like Sheoldred would be a pretty good draw here. Sure, they can Paducah Bog us. We don't care about our graveyard. Oh, they Paducah Bog themselves. That's very weird. Why would they do that? Oh, they can't target us, that's why. We have the One Ring protection. Sure. We got there in the end, brain. We did not draw a Sheoldred. Let's draw some more cards. We did draw a Sheoldred this time around, but I don't think this is the time to play this Sheoldred. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't have Threshold. So we have 5, 6 mana. We need 7 mana to play both. A little bit awkward. If they can remove our guy, we will lose the game here. I think we just cast this Boggart Trawler, and the plan is to block here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't quite have Threshold yet. So if they attack with everything, we block here, we only take 2. Then we take another 2, and then we can play Sheoldred, tap this, and then things should start going well for us. If they've drawn a removal spell, or a Talon Gates or something, or they can just do a big Green Sun Zenith, that's going to go very poorly for us. It feels like a big... Oh, they just drew Big Daddy Crate Hoofs. Sure, we were just too slow that one. Okay, our sideboard is very good for this because we have the Cursed Totem, which is nice, but then we also have access to Opposition Agents, which are good here. We also have the Fatal Pushes and the other removal spells. So we have potentially 9 cards we're interested in. I do not believe we want the Duresses here. We'll keep the Unmask, because that's part of our sort of combo here. We can probably board out some Cabal Rituals and just rely on removing our opponent's creatures. But this does mean that the Opposition Agent is less castable for us. What do I want to do with these Oppo Agents? Maybe they're just better than Cellarspawn, so we can eventually get there anyway. And just play a control game. I can buy that. Like with this amount of card draw and removal spells, we should be absolutely fine in this matchup. Maybe we did want the Contagion. Who knows? Alright. What have we got here? We have no starting mana. Otherwise, I would quite like this hand. Let's mulligan. We have a starting mana. We don't really go anywhere with this hand, though. Yikes. Not the greatest start to the league. Let's mulligan. Okay, we can keep this. So we've been off the Oppo Agent. And... probably the Soul Spike. Maybe it's just one of the shoals and the Oppo agent. Okay, so we just need to get to 3 mana, and then we Necrodominance, draw our deck. Okay, we get to do that on turn 2. Excellent. I'm feeling confident about this one now. I'm going to get Thoughtseize, would be annoying. Once upon a time. Oh, White of the Reliquary. Green mana, this is what we want to see. Okay, a Dryad Arbor. We are going to draw lots of cards. That is better than a Dryad Arbor. Play out a Swamp. Cast a Start Ritual. Cast a Necrodominance. So we've already got 1, 2, 3. So if we just draw loads of cards here, right? Because we already have a use for a bunch of cards here. So I think we're just going to draw a huge amount of cards and just be ready for next turn. So I think we'll draw 15 cards here. It seems fine to me. And then we get to do some stuff, don't we? So I will... Can we kill our opponent here? How many Soul Spikes have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've almost got lethal. Okay. Sure, I will Soul Spike you. I'll pitch this Necrodominance and this Necrodominance. We'll Sickening Shoal, kill this Dryad Arbor. Getting rid of... It's an opposition agent, it's fine. I will Soul Spike you again. How many cards have we got? 9. Right, I will Soul Spike you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in hand. So we could Soul Spike right now. We're not going to get any more cards immediately from here. I think we're just going to go to clean up and get rid of this 1 ring. We're going to see this white. We are. Sure. That is quite a fair Magic the Gathering card. We don't draw a card because of how Necrodominance works. What have we exiled here? Did we get rid of another Sheoldred? We didn't. Okay. So we don't draw a card because of Necrodominance here. We can unmask our opponent though. And then we can like cast an opposition agent off of our Necrodominance. There's a lot of options we have available here. So another reason I like the opposition agent is the fact that it's got flash, so we can mess with our opponent after we've drawn a bunch of cards. Atraxa, Springhound Antuka. I don't care about any of these. It's interesting, isn't it? I suppose the White of the Reliquary, probably the worst. It doesn't really matter. Sure. Play this one out. So we will crack it now, just in case we randomly draw all of our swamps. And then we'll go to end step and we'll draw, I think, 10 cards is fine here. So what are we doing here? So we can Dark Ritual right now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Which gives us a Poe Agent. And we can do a March of Otherworldly Light on this guy. And just try and work out how many cards we need to pitch to the March. I guess we'll do that first. Cast this, tag in this guy. And we will exile this Sheoldred is probably fine. And do we even need the Oppo agent? I guess it's something we can cast though, so it's kind of interesting. So get rid of this troll. 3 damage, this is 4, and they've got the ability to endurance. So we need to do another creature here. So another card. 2, 4. And then the 5 damage can come from just paying here. Although if we just put this Dark Ritual in, then we just gain more life, and that's the place we want to be. So X is currently 6. Seems okay to me. I think I'm actually just going to Soul Spike our opponent instead. Here. We just get rid of these 2. And then next turn when we play the Sheoldred, it'll be lethal. And their draw step. Now, we don't even need an opposition agent. Look at their hand. It's not going to matter here. Just bring out an Antuke. Underground Mortuary. So yeah, we just play the Sheoldred, go to end step, draw 15 cards, gain all the life we want, and then the game ends. Presumably we have more swamps in there. I suspect we do. Let's get our Sheoldred. Alright, our opponent's had enough, because this is going to kill them. Alright, lots of removal. Seems good. Let's just do that all over again. I kind of felt like I did want another Cellarspawn just so I can actually kill my opponent. But I don't think we bought out removal for it. Which then begs the question, what are we boarding out for it? Maybe we'll go 2 and 2 on the Cellarspawn and the Sheoldreds, because we're going to need to be a little bit quicker with our draws because our opponent is on the play. We have slowed down a little bit by getting rid of the Cabal Rituals, but the fact is we can just kill everything they play. And just settle into this little control game where, a bit like the old Necro decks back in the day where you would just keep drawing cards, answering stuff, playing guys, answering stuff. This has no removal, but it does have a Cursed Totem that we can play on turn 2. That is quite strong against our opponent's entire deck. It sucks against the Crater Hoof plays. Are we supposed to mulligan this? This already is kind of a mulligan. I think we can probably do a little bit better. Like, our deck is very explosive. This doesn't have one of our draw engines, but it does have 2 removal spells. That would leave us trying to draw 8 cards in our deck. Honestly, I think that's probably fine. It can definitely go wrong for us, and I wouldn't fault someone who didn't keep this hand once upon a time. But like I said, we have 8 things we're drawing to, as well as just, you know, the opposition agents and stuff like that. That's still fine. Talon Gates, that's good to know about in advance. They can't shoot at this from their deck now. A Bayou, we're getting Thought Seized, or are we getting Ignoble Hierarch. An Unmask. I'm going to play this Shadowy Backstreet first and see what we're working towards. Fell the Profane. I don't really want that right now. That can go into the graveyard. So we could kill this, or we could save it for a scarier creature. I think we're going to save it for a scarier creature. Also, the Unmask we don't want to fire off just yet, because if our opponent has a natural order, they can't deploy this turn, but they can deploy it next turn. A little guy. Sure. An Underground Mortuary for our opponent. 4 cards left in their hand. We know one of them. Would be nice to find someone like the One Ring here. Well, well, well. Ask and ye shall receive. Let's start Ritual. We're obviously going to kill this White of the Reliquary in a second. Let's draw a card. Another Unmask. Let's unmask our opponent pitching... Do we need a Dark Ritual at this point? It does allow us to be more explosive next time. We're not drawing lots and lots of cards yet. I think we're just going to pitch this Dark Ritual first. Okay, I don't really care about any of these things. And then we can Sickening Shoal on this, pitching this Unmask. So that's going to get -4/-4. They can't put any more creatures in the graveyard right now. We probably should have done this the other way around, but it lets us know if there's anything we need to worry about. Alright. And now we have a March of Wretched Sorrow we can use to clean up a Springheart Nantuko or whatever. And we're just going to be in the One Ring. If they draw Green Sun Zenith into Collector Roof, we're going to need to find a black card or a mana. But the chances of us drawing a black card or a mana are ridiculously high. What if they're going to make another copy of Ignoble Hierarch here? They're just going to play a Noble Hierarch. They're just leaving the Talon Gates back. Okay, they have a Cradle. Okay, that's very good here. Is it as good as the One Ring? I don't think so, but this is a lot of Exalted. They're going to be attacking for a bit, but we can just kill the one creature that attacks. So let's just see what we draw, and we can go from there. Another One Ring if we need it, that's fine. Boggart Trawler and a Sickening Shoal. So how big is this going to be when it attacks? Not very big. It's not worth paying the 3 life here just to deal an extra 1 damage. Although if we play this, we do need to deal the 1 damage, right? I guess I will play the Bog, and I will pay 3 life. So this can just kill the Ignoble Hierarch when they attack with it. And then next turn we're drawing 3 cards and a Thought Seize. Okay, I will attack this. I guess we're going to lose. Are we going to lose a Sickening Shoal or are we going to lose the One Ring? I don't actually know here. So I'm just going to pay some good old-fashioned mana this way. Just kill their Hierarch. I was hoping to do this with the triggers on the stack so that we wouldn't take any damage this turn. But I can live with that. 4 mana. Okay, they're just phasing it out. So that means we're not getting attacked this turn. We don't gain the life though, which is annoying. But that's our opponent's entire turn gone, so I don't mind that. They probably tap and make a copy. The other option there is just to let them Thought Seize, and then we can do a really mediocre Sickening Shoal that's not going to do anything. Alright, so they Thought Seize. That reduces their life total, which might be useful for us later on. They have less Exalted in play. Well, I guess they have the same because they copied their guy. But we're factoring that in. So this is going to be an attack for 3. And then hopefully we can just draw something sweet here and win the game. Not the sweetest so far. What have we got? Ancient Cellarspawn is pretty good here. Is it better than Cursed Totem? Because we get to play one of these cards. I think I'm going to go for having a big 3/3 guy. And then we can Sickening Shoal and drain our opponent out for 8. Well, it's not a drain, it just deals damage. If it was a drain, it'd be pretty busted. Our opponent's got no cards in hand. Well, they're drawing off the top. Natural order is obviously a problem for us here, but I can live with that. Who's attacking? They know we have the Sickening Shoal. It's just this guy. So we get our Cellarspawn trigger. 8 of your finest life. That's nearly half of our opponent's life total. Right, had a bit of lag there, but we're through it. We've still got loads of time on our clock, and this is game 3, so we should be alright. A guy that we're going to shut off next turn anyway. Sure. Opposition agent. Let's crack into this One Ring goodness. So we can unmask. Doesn't do any damage. It doesn't matter too much, but okay. So we probably want to cast this totem, I would imagine. We could just draw 7 cards and believe in the heart of the cards here. It's a pretty fine thing to do. So we just deploy this one. I don't think I want to play this tapped. That's 3 life. It's just a black card. So we're just going to go and draw 7 cards in the end step and hopefully find a thing that does something. We've got lots of them in our deck and we can cast them as well. Like March of Wretched, sorry. Puts us to 7, puts us to 1, sorry. We will die to the One Ring, but I think we're just going to win the game this turn. Okay, let's just Soul Spike our opponent for a bunch. Boom. Just a casual 0 mana, 11 damage there. Alright, we got the match. Like I said, we should be pretty good against decks that just want to play creatures when we can just have this really strong creature package. It did feel weird having less Cellarspawns in game 2. As you can see, this is just another line that we have to take. But yeah, want to know? Let's go to round 2. Yeah, sign me up. This is a turn 1 copy of the One Ring if I want it, with the Unmasked to force it through. Don't mind if I do. We would have to give up the Cellarspawn for the Unmasked, but we don't want the Cellarspawn immediately anyway. That's something we want a couple of turns down the line, because we're on the slower draw off of the One Ring. But we're going to end up with 6 extra cards by turn 3. And we get to interfere with our opponent on turn 1 with this Unmask. Feeling good about this one. It's a nice opener. Once upon a time, we're playing against fair creatures, we're playing against Eldrazi, we're doing Cloud Post. There's a bunch of things this could be. An Eldrazi Temple. Well, I think I know what it is. This is certainly a game where our life total can be under threat. This should be the 2 mana guy. There we go. It heralds the end. An uninspiring creature, that one. So we could fire up. I don't think we need to unmask, because all the things our opponent's going to do aren't that troublesome to us right now. Let's get this One Ring going. Let's see what we draw, and then we can find the unmask. We know we're not playing against counterspells here. So March of Wretched Sorrow. So I could just kill this, or I could just save this for a volley of stuff next turn. That's quite strong. Although, are we likely to... I don't think we are we? I'm just trying to think if we're likely to actually cast this Cellarspawn next turn, and we're probably not. So we could just March of Wretched Sorrow this guy. What could our opponent have in their deck that I don't want to see? They could have a Chalice of the Void, but we don't really care about that right now because we've already played our 1-drops. Okay, so I think we're going to hit this and we're going to pitch. It's kind of a tough call, actually. I think it's the Unmasked that goes here. Yep, so we just gain a little bit of life back, pad our life total, and just rely on this One Ring to win the game for us. Which is certainly a thing that this card does more often than not. I'm not expecting our opponent to... I guess they have that annoying little green, the guy that they can pay green mana into. And it exiles artifacts, I think. Let's draw some more cards, see what we end up with here. We'll play this one out. We get to cast one of these 2 things. I guess it's probably the Unmasked pitching the Sheoldred here. Let's just slow their roll a bit. Okay, they got nothing. What was that land? Abstergo Entertainment. Add 1 mana of any colour. Exile it, return up to 1 target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile all graveyards. Weird. Never seen that card before in my life. Okay. So our opponent's got a 2-2 and some lands versus our One Ring. I feel pretty happy about this, especially since next time we get to play the Cellarspawn, which will be the biggest thing on the board. And if we start casting anything for free, then we just dome our opponent for a bunch. So they could Kozilek's Command for 2 here, if that's what they want to do. Soul Spike, don't mind if I do. Okay, this seems exactly like the place I want to be. Let's just Soul Spike this guy, gain a bunch of life, kill their guy. We've got another One Ring if it gets dicey, but once we start rolling with this deck, it doesn't really get dicey. If I played this One Ring, it would just be for a shield, and I'd probably keep the one with 3 counters on. Counter Souls, naming Eldrazi, not a surprise. Have they got the little guy that you pay green to and it does stuff? 2, 4, 5. What is this? Kozilek's Command, killing our Cellarspawn. That's reasonable, but we have the One Ring. I'm not expecting a Reality Smasher. Yep, so here's the K command. And they are going for scrying and drawing a card. Let's see how many they put on the bottom. 1 top. So they found 1 card they liked out of those 3. But is that card as good as a One Ring with 4 counters on? I am skeptical. So we could just Dark Ritual out a Cellarspawn and just play 2 Cellarspawns. Oh, this costs less actually because of our other Cellarspawn. We get to dome them for 1. I forgot about that. Okay. Soul Spike is an awful lot of damage to our opponents. This is going to be Thought-Knot Seer. Sure, you take our One Ring, but the problem is the One Ring in play, not the One Ring in my hand. Necrodominance. Sure, this should be game now. Wowzers trousers. Okay, this is just game right away, isn't it? This just domes them for 14. Doesn't even resolve. That felt real good. Okay, so we want some removal. What have we got? We got some fail pushes. That is removal. Cursed Totem does stop some of the spawn tokens, if that's the thing we're interested in. I don't think it is. So I like these 4 cards. I don't really think we're into Duresses here, so they can get out. And then we've only got 2 more cuts to find here. We could trim back on Cabal Rituals, although we do want to go fast with these Cabal Rituals. But like, what else are we getting rid of here? There's not really great options. Like the Sheoldred is a weird one. Like it's very good when we ramp it out, but it's not very good if we don't. So maybe we trim 1 Sheoldred, 1 Cabal Ritual. I wonder if they keep in the Chalice to stop our Dark Rituals. Maybe there's an option of taking out a Dark Ritual just in case that's what their opponent's doing. But it doesn't matter if it's blanked because we still have the ability to just pitch our black cards anyway. So here we could keep a hand that unmasks our opponent on turn 1, has a removal spell but doesn't have a big payoff. I think we can do better. Like our deck is so powerful. That is very, very slow. A Dark Ritual speeds us up, so there's a Cabal Ritual by a turn. We have a removal spell. Alright, I'm going to keep this one. So we've got, what, 7 rituals in our deck. And we can kind of like look towards what we want with this Shadowy Backstreet. Eye of Ugin, that means our opponent isn't playing a spell this turn. Unless they've got multiple Lotus Petals. Because there's no Mimics in their decks anymore. And the Flesh Raker, if they had the Lotus Petal, doesn't work because it needs coloured, it needs proper colourless mana. Alright, having a bit of a lag going on here today. I'll have to restart after this game. A Swamp. I think I will Shadowy Backstreet's this turn. If our opponent wastelands us, they're kind of just putting us back to where we all were a minute ago. And it just gets us closer and closer to a ritual. Right, there is the Flesh Raker. We can kill this on our turn. And Marsh Flats, that makes it a lot easier to kill. So we crack this for a basic swamp. And then we Fatal Push the Flesh Raker. Next turn we can Cellarspawn and Sickening Shoal, and then hopefully that bridges the gap to the One Ring, although this is a turn they can Thought-Knot Seer us, which could be awkward. They did not Thought Not Seer us. I will take it. So this Sickening Shoal with the Fell the Profane will kill basically anything our opponent can do. The One Ring. Don't mind having another copy of that. Let's deploy our little friend. There's just going to be a little Kozilek's command here for 2. This won't kill our Cellarspawn. They'll just be making 2 guys and drawing a card, which is still fine, you know. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to burn this Sickening Shoal to kill their spawn token. That doesn't feel great. A Yavimaya. That allows their Ivogans to tap for mana as well, so this does effectively act like a soul land, give them +2 mana. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. 7, 8 if they include these 2, so they could easily play the Devourer of whatever it's called. Feels like that's what's happening, unless we're getting another big K command. Okay, I don't want to pitch my Fell the Profane just for damage when this is going to be the land that gives us the One Ring. They could still Thought Not Seer here, but if we draw a land, it doesn't matter if they Thought Not Seer us here. And once we get running with the One Ring, I feel pretty confident we can close this game out. They only kept 1 of the cards. Right, let's get the One Ring going. An Unmask. Would I like to Unmask now, or would I like to hold back for the Sickening Shoal? Our opponent drew the 1 card they kept on top. I think I do want to see it. And given the amount of cards we have right now, I'm going to pitch this March of Wretched Sorrow. I'm going to take this Thought Not Seer, I guess. Leave them with just the Once Upon a Time. So they're going to have to spend their mana digging. And while they're doing that, we're just going to be accruing lots and lots of advantage. The one thing I don't really want to see here is that little guy that blows up artifacts. Because we need a couple of turns to get our One Ring drawing us a big glut of cards. Because we need big handfuls of cards. We're not like full-on incremental card advantage. We are, let's just have all the cards. We're absolutely greedy for cards. A Flesh Raker. Okay, we can almost certainly kill that next turn. I don't know if they're going to have a follow-up. No, they don't have a follow-up here. Yeah, they just have the Cradle in hand. Alright. Let's draw some more cards. A Soul Spike and a Sickening Shoal. We could just cast a Sickening Shoal for like regular ordinary mana. We're now at that phase of the game where we're just tapping all of our stuff. So again, I think if we get 1 more draw off of this One Ring, then I don't mind too much about the guy that blows up artifacts. But yeah, this is looking pretty strong for us. All right, our opponent's just had enough of us, and that is the match. We are 2-0. I adore this deck. Let's go to round 3. Ooh, this is a weird hand, isn't it? It's all kind of dressed up with nowhere to go. I don't think this is what we want. This is slow. Very susceptible to Thought Seizers. I think I will keep it, and we're probably bottoming the Sheoldred, I think, here. That's a thing for later. Arab Mesa. Don't see those very often. A Dark Ritual, you say? Well, this very much changes what I'm all about. I think we are going to cast this, and we're going to exile... I think it's the Sickening Shoal, but it's probably... Actually, no, it's probably the Cellarspawn, isn't it? It's a thing for later. This is why we're running 8 Rituals in our deck, because just being able to power out the One Ring early is so huge. They could be like a Jeskai control deck, and they're going to brainstorm in response here. A Flusterstorm in the main deck. Okay. That is unexpected. What is our opponent up to? I think we will use our Surveil land here. A Troll of Khazad-dûm. I don't hate the Troll. It is another land which gets us towards One Ring stuff, but I think we can do better. Hopefully I won't regret that choice. We'll see. Sheoldred. Do I think our opponent, with all their blue mana over there, is going to mess us up somehow? I am very reluctant to play a One Ring here. Why are they running Flusterstorm in the main, though? It feels like a thing you use to protect your unfair deck, rather than a thing you would use to attack your opponent's deck, if you're talking about game 1. I think our opponent's doing something unfair. Does that mean we're supposed to fire this out? They haven't given me the impression they're running... I don't think they're running Days. I don't like this pause very much. Wow, just a counterspell. I guess the Flusterstorm is just like a flex spell, because they're definitely a fair deck if they're running counterspell. This could be tricky. But that's why we have the Duresses and stuff in the sideboard. A Narset Part of Veils. It's a horrible one for us to face, isn't it? Yikes indeed. Can't Sickening Shoal that one either. Fell the Profane. Alright, it's not going great for us right now. Counterspell, Narset against our deck designed to draw half of its library every game. Bit awkward. Okay, Narset. What fresh hell are you going to show us? A Spell Pierce. I imagine our opponent is running like Days Undoing. They're just playing a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Do I think I can win here? They're already fate sealing us. I'm just going to concede. I don't want our opponent to see any more about our nonsense here. Alright. Out with the removal, in with the Duresses. So we go up to 4 Duresses and we board out 2 removal spells of some description. Probably Wretched Sorrow hits Planeswalkers, right? Yes, okay, so we're going to board out these Sickening Shoals. And this other one can become a March of Wretched Sorrow. We could board in the opposition agents just to have more threats, but if we do that, something else has to give. And what is going to go in order to get these in? And that is the question. It's probably something like a ritual, but we need the rituals to sort of get in underneath our opponent being set up. So I think we're just going to submit with this slight change. I believe our opponent is quite well favoured in this matchup. Unmask into some cool stuff later on. Right, we'll keep this. We'll try and fire the Unmask off on the turn we're going now that we know our opponent's not doing anything low to the ground that we have to be concerned about. We will always Unmask the turn before our opponent can deploy a Narset because that card is such a burden for us to play against. Like, we have plenty of good stuff in hand to leverage. Like, every single one of these is pretty much a must counter spell. A swamp. Yeah, we do need swamps, so let's play the swamp and pass it over. So next turn we can attempt a Necrodominance with an Unmask to try and clear the way. I think I'm okay to Unmask pitching Sheoldred here. But maybe we'll draw a black card that will change our mind on what we're pitching. But our opponent has a lot of cards over there. I've changed my mind on one pitching now. Let's try and Unmask our opponent, pitching this March of Wretched Sorrow. Force of Will, pitching a Supreme Verdict. Right, so because we have so many bangers in hand, I'm just going to start firing them off. How do you like Necrodominance? I'm not expecting this to resolve. Okay, we've got a Brainstorm. I'm surprised our opponent didn't fire that off in response to the Force of Will, but I guess they're worried about Orcish Bowmasters, so that makes a lot of sense, actually. Amazing how when you think about something, it makes sense. Alright, so we've cast 2 Hymns of Torax so far. We're just going to get Narset and they're going to gas back up though. Glacial Fortress. Wow. Haven't seen one of those in Legacy for a very long time. Cool. Sometimes you need 5 Tundras. Or, I assume they've got more than that. They've got Meticulous Archive and all sorts in there. Alright, that was a swing and a miss for us. What is this? Vendilion Clique. I could kill this Vendilion Clique. Honestly, don't hate doing that. Wow, our opponent is kicking it old school over there. Do I want to gain an additional life? I don't think Days is happening, but our opponent's on some weird stuff. I don't want to risk it. Just fire this off. Would you like to get rid of one of my One Rings or my Sheoldred? This is where they take the Sheoldred and immediately play the Null Rod. Okay, they decide to take nothing, which probably means they have whatever we're doing covered. Or they're just hoping that we don't draw another land. A Brainstorm from our opponent. I guess if they Vendilion Clique take one of our cards, they could risk us having like Duress and Dark Ritual to just power out something and check the coast is clear. Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. This could be a Cauldron, I assume. There it is. Yeah, our opponent's on a deck. An odd build. Let's play some guy. Alright, our opponent doesn't have counter spells anymore. They have 6 that turn. Now they might have counter spells that cost mana, like Counter Spell itself, Flusterstorm, that sort of jazz. But we can certainly race what our opponent's doing. The One Ring is a pretty powerful object. Source to Plowshares, that's more life for our One Ring. Makes it harder to actually win. Okay, so they're holding up Counter Spell and Cauldron Complete here. Oh, One Rings for days. So what we're probably going to be doing here is firing a One Ring out, and then if we can get it to resolve, the next One Ring is going to be played, and that's the one we sacrifice. We're just going to be getting the trigger off of it and just keep the other counters on, because we're going to need to preserve our life total here. But we need to find another land to put one of these on the stack, and I think the One Ring is going to be more useful in play than the Sheoldred right now. So we kind of drained our opponent's resources a bit by making them fight over our stuff. Not the one we wanted. Get swamp. So next turn, we have a shot at deploying the One Ring. Now our opponent very clearly telegraphed a counterspell, so I'm not expecting this to go through. Mishra's Factory. Well, our opponent is playing Magic from like 12 years ago, and I am absolutely here for it. I love it. Right, so it's going to put us down to what, 10? Yeah, so that's not the biggest number I've ever seen for a life total. I don't believe we're playing around days, and I don't want to spend the 3 life to do so. Our opponent knows this is coming. They're paying some costs over there. Counter spell. I'll play this tapped. This is going to put us to 4, which is not a very high number, as it turns out. Okay, we're going to try this again. Paying costs. Hardcast Force of Will. Our opponent travelled back from 2014 for this game. Obviously, they have the Cauldron Complete here, but they have absolutely smashed us, and GG to our opponent. Alright, well that matchup did not look very fun. The deck that just wants to counter everything and we have to resolve one of our big things. A little awkward. Alright, we've taken our first loss. Let's see if we can route it in the back half and keep ourselves with a 4-1. Let's go. We are on the play. Our hand does not really work that well. We need another land. We're very susceptible to Wasteland. It's quite powerful though. I think I'm going to give it a go and just try not to get Wastelanded. Easier said than done, obviously, but we've got a Shadowy Backstreet to try and find the 3rd land, and then we can just go Necro into One Ring, and we do have some interaction with these Soul Spikes if we need them, and we can also use the March of Wretched Sorrow if it's a creature deck and they have something we need to answer. A Duress. I don't know if I want the Duress. I think we are going to just work towards having the lands here. It's all very well paving the way for our spells to go through, but if we don't have the ability to cast them, then it doesn't matter. Not a Wasteland. Happy to have dodged that one. I will play this one tapped. So we have Necro, but it might eat a Daze, potentially. Feels like our opponent is... They could be Sickening Shoal, though. Could be Sickening Shoal, or it could be Delver. This Brainstorm tends to lend itself more towards a Sickening Shoal line, where they're trying to have like a big turn 2. No big turn 2. So are we playing into Daze or not? That is a question we have to ask. We have the ability to not worry about Daze if we just wait 1 turn. Or we could try this Necrodominance expecting it to get counterspelled to pave the way to try and play through a Force. Okay, I quite like that. Try and play through a Force. Because our opponent hasn't done anything with the mana they have. So getting set back a turn might actually be an issue for them. So shuffling 1 card away from that previous Brainstorm of theirs. They did have a Daze, okay. And they're hard casting it. So this means our opponent's probably more on the Delver spectrum. They've probably just got one of those hands that has a bunch of interaction into a Murktide. Could be... No, they can't have Binoculus yet, if they're on that sort of line. Oh, they are a Show and Tell deck. Okay. I'll have the One Ring, please. This doesn't give me protection for a turn. Emrakul. Yeah... let's draw a card. No, we're not winning that. So, Show and Tell was one of the only decks that beat us last time we played this deck. In fact, it was the only deck that beat us last time, because we 4-1 the last 2 leagues. So, it's a little bit of an awkward matchup, this one, unfortunately. I would like some Duresses, and that's about the best we get access to here. You can take out these Sickening Shoals to fit them in. I'm just debating if we want Sickening Shoals over March of Wretched Sorrow. I think we do, because Sickening Shoal, we can just target our own creature, and then if we have the what's it called, the Cellarspawn out, we can just dump a load of damage into our opponent. This is a bit slow. I think we need to mulligan something faster or more disruptive. This is more disruptive. This is very disruptive. I will disrupt our opponent here. I think we throw back the Soul Spike. It's not what we're about just yet. I will Fell the Profane as a land and Duress our opponent. It's kind of why we're not running Thoughtseize, because we don't want to take too much damage when we're using our life total as our main draw. As our main resource, really, in this deck. Let's try and Duress our opponent and see what they're working with. We've got some Unmask to fire off and more Duresses if we need to. Alright, Atraxa, Magus of the Moon. Oh, is that Magus of the Moon actually going to be useful? That'd be annoying, wouldn't it? I'll take the Show and Tell. It's the obvious choice here. Mages of the Moon shouldn't be a thing that we care about, but with our particular hand right now, it kind of is, and that really annoys me. Thundering Force. We get to Duress again next turn. They put one card on top of their library. I have to imagine it's a land. Like, what else would they want here? Like, obviously they want to find their other bits and pieces, but they're going to need land whatever they deploy. I guess it could be a Show and Tell. Okay, let's Duress our opponent again. An Omniscience. Don't really want to see that one. Don't like the Ponder here, though. I don't want them to have access to that. I think we take the Force of Will because we are trying to resolve something a bit bigger. Let's Shadowy Backstreet and see what that makes us want to do here. The One Ring. That is the sort of thing we want to be trying to cast at some point. And we don't really care about the Mages of the Moon anymore. So do you want to take this Ponder? I think we do. Or do you want to save this for the turn we're trying to resolve the One Ring? Let's try and resolve this One Ring in a couple of turns. A Ponder. Like, if they keep from this Ponder, then maybe we have to fire off an Unmask. But I don't think our opponent has the ability to combo this turn. I'm playing out the Lotus Petal. That might be because they have a spell, or it might be because they don't want to get hit by a discard spell on it. Alright, can I unmask you? Force of Will, pitching Omniscience. Okay. So are they relying on this Mages of the Moon, maybe? So they've got, what, Magus and Atraxa and one random card, I think? Ponder. Pretty good one. Unlikely to get Magus this turn. They might think Magus looks pretty good, looking at our mana base right now. But any land gets us the Oblivion, the One Ring. They can turn our lands into not hurting us. That's also interesting. Oh, wow. They're cracking their Lotus Petal for Ponder. That is quite the sign of desperation. I will take it. Land or Ritual off the top, please. It's going to be a Troll of Khazad-dûm. I feel it in my bones. Okay, there's a Ritual. I'll take that. This allows us to play around a daze. Do you have a third Force of Will? They do have a third Force of Will. Well, that sucks. Traxxas gone. So they're going to have to rebuild from kind of nothing over there. We're going to see the Magus, aren't we? So they probably think the Magus is good. And it will shut us off of some spells. It's kind of weird how much we've been jammed up by this Magus, considering our deck doesn't really care about and is mono black. But if their plan is just to beat us down with this Magus, we should beat that. They've shut themselves off of blue mana for the rest of the game as well. Well, until they find their basic island, which is probably only one of in their deck. Alright, Swamp. Happy to see you. So now we can cast any spell in our deck. Apart from Soul Spike, obviously. But we're not trying to cast that normally. But like a Sheoldred here is pretty backbreaking for our opponent. Obviously the One Ring is good. Oh, Necrodominance is the one spell we can't cast. So that's the one we're going to draw this turn. We didn't draw it this turn. So we can kill this if we want to. I don't even want to kill this. I'm just going to hold this in hand. Because whilst our opponent doesn't have blue mana, I feel a lot safer. Because they can't cast any cantrips and find their combo. They can't Show and Tell. There's a lot. And all we would do is unlock the ability to cast Necrodominance. That's the only thing that we're not currently able to cast. This is an instant as well, so we can hold it up if we find the need to actually have to kill this. Sickening Shoal. Again, we found a way of killing their guy. I don't really want to kill their guy and unlock the blue mana, but we might have to kill their guy just so that we don't die to it. Which is a little frustrating. Dark Ritual, that's not the one we want. Okay, I think we're getting towards having to Fell the Profane this. Because we obviously need life to work with our spells. We maybe take... Do we take another hit or do we kill this? I think we might have to kill this turn. Alright, it's going to be a sneak attack. Okay. Brace for impact, I guess. So now we actually want to take our opponent off of Blood Moon mana. Off of red mana, so they can't activate sneak attack multiple times. The fourth Force of Will. Okay. Like, it's annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can kill an Atraxa with a Sickening Shoal. But yeah, this is just... well, I probably had 4 forcibles, right? It's a lot. I don't know if we're killing this turn. Is they just attacking with this, though? Maybe we do. Preserve our life total. Get Sheoldred. Please draw some action. A Soul Spike. It is technically action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can cast it only pitching 1 card. That's something, I guess. But we can hold on to it because it can allow us to just win the game with the Cellarspawn, right? If they tap these 2 Ancient Tombs. But we are very much at risk of just getting sneak attacked. How big? How big? Emrakul. That's pretty big. That is our life total. We can't gain enough. Yeah. Yeah, I probably just had the right stuff for us. I think this matchup is a little bit tricky, and we probably need more hand disruption in the sideboard to deal with it. But I think our opponent's draws were a little bit above average, and ours are a little bit below average, although I still think they are probably favoured overall. All right, final round. We're now looking for the positive record rather than the 4-1, which is sad. All right, let's go. Okay, we just need 1 piece of mana. I can keep this. We'll probably have to fire a Duress off on turn 1, given the nature of Legacy at the moment. I think it's just the safer thing to do, because if I don't and our opponent combos us turn 1, I'm going to feel really silly for holding this Duress. Well, well, well. What is this? You may play land cards from your graveyard. When you unlock this door, you may cast spells from your graveyard this turn. So trying to use that like a Yawgmoth's. Okay, I think we just take the LED. LED is almost always the best card in every deck it's in. And they're using that to get their little green Past in Flames going. I'm not expecting my opponent to mess with our lands. I'd very much like to find mana next turn. We might end up in a weird situation where we like fire off a Soul Spike to gain life and mess up with their combo kill. The chances are that won't work very well for us and they'll just be able to go over the top. They also have this Veil already. They did not mill that card over, so they wanted it. That's not the best for us. But they're going to have to spend a lot of time cantripping to get where they need to go here. A Brainstorm. Spent a long time on that Brainstorm. I suspect we're going to see a follow-up Ponder. Could be another Brainstorm though. Alright, a Bayou. A Lotus Spell. Are we just going? I hope not. A Thought Seize. Oh no. My One Ring. There goes the One Ring. They also now know that they need to make sure they don't go down to 4 life. Ah, okay. We don't get to do anything again. Or they can go down to 4 life as long as they have green mana up for a Veil of Summer. Another Brainstorm from our opponent. We need to find a Necrodominance or a land and a One Ring. Right, they're not winning this turn, so I guess we get another turn. An Unmask. This is not very good because our opponent has Veil of Summer up. I could get them to redraw with their Veil of Summer, but that doesn't feel good. They are currently Brainstorm locked, so I'm not going to fire this off. I want to give our opponent a target. Like if we can, you know, survive a couple more turns and get the Ancient Cellarspawn into play, then at least we'll be getting some damage off of the Unmask. I don't think Cellarspawn targets. Oh no, Cellarspawn does target, I just checked. Okay, so we won't necessarily get the damage off because I can wait for the trigger to go on the stack and then Veil of Summer both triggers. That's pretty good. Alright, a Lion's Eye Diamond. That's not normally a thing that goes well for us if our opponent's got access to that. We do have 2 Soul Spikes, so we can Soul Spike and then Soul Spike over the top if our opponent goes super low off of something like an Ad Nauseam. Alright, so they're drawing something off the top. This could be an Ad Nauseam. So they're just casting the Forgotten Cellarspawn. This is going to let them play all the stuff in their graveyard. So that's 2 LEDs, 1 Lotus Petal. So a while back there was a card called Paradise or something. Paradise Lost or something. I can't remember what it was. But it kind of did a similar thing where it returned a bunch of stuff. But this just returns everything in green. And the deck wants to be in green anyway because it wants to have access to Veil of Summer. So it's an interesting development. Obviously, I'm sure you Storm aficionados out there are well aware of this card. But I was only really aware of the Crucible of Worlds side, obviously. So they are having to do a little bit of brainstorming and stuff. They do just have a couple of Infernal Tutors. They need to get their Storm count high enough though. A Thought Seize targeting me. So they've got 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So they can tutor. So if I every soul spike I fire off is effectively gaining 2 life because it adds 1 storm but gains us 4. I think we just go wild here. Just soul spike them a bunch. They could fire off a Veil of Summer by cracking their LED. Decided not to do that. Joke's on you, opponent. I've got no cards in hand. Now I imagine they probably have a way of winning through this. Made them need 2 more storm than they would have otherwise needed. So they need to get storm 13 before they cast it, right? I'm sure that's doable, but our opponent's brainstorming here. I don't know if that's just their way of building storm before they go off, but we'll find out. Okay, that is storm 13 now. And now they're just going to go through the motions and kill us. Alright. Didn't go super well for us right there. What would I like? I would like some Duresses, please. I think the Leyline of the Voids look pretty good here as well. I do not need as much removal. So we're probably getting rid of some Sickening Shoal, March of Wretched Sorrow, and then we have a lot less stuff to win the game with now. But I think that's still fine. Alright. Now we do have 8 discard spells in our deck. You'd hope that that would be enough. We could board in something like the Obsidian Agent just to hate on some of their tutors. But I think it's better just to draw a bunch of cards, dome them with Cellarspawn, and just keep pummeling their hand with Hand Disruption. We need to get through the Veil of Summer, but they can't use the graveyard if we have a Leyline. So they're going to have to do a line that requires a lot more sculpting. Duress into Duress, or Duress into the One Ring. So we have what? 3. So we have 5 mana on turn 1, right? 3. No, we have 4 mana on turn 1. So we could just play the One Ring on turn 1 and then unload a bunch of Duresses. But I think the problem with that is our opponent gets to hold up Veil of Summer. They get to have Brainstorm to hide their hand. So I think it's best to Duress and then turn 2 we fire off the One Ring and another Duress. I'm going to take your Ponder, please. Okay, so they've got a Saga backup plan that I wasn't expecting. I wonder how much they play out, because obviously that reduces their storm count later on, but stops us from messing with their mana. Yeah, so like they'll always have access to this now, because we're not going to be a deck that messes with that sort of stuff. Okay, we're definitely casting this Dark Ritual. Are we casting the Cabal Ritual as well to get this Duress off? Or we can just pitch the Cabal Ritual to the Unmask and then Duress next turn. I think I'm going to Cabal Ritual here. Just start drawing some cards. Duress our opponent. I think we're going to take this Cabal Ritual, just make it harder and harder for them to get anything going. Okay. So they can't Thoughtseize us. They can play a forest, crank out a Saga token. We have less removal in our deck now, but our plan is probably just to go over the top into their face. They're playing out the Saga, so they're going for the I want the Lion's Eye Diamonds plan. Draw some more cards. A Soul Spike. Let's Duress our opponent. Oops, all Duresses. So they got a Thoughtseize and a Forest. So we probably play out this Trawler. And then if they decide to Thoughtseize us, then we can Soul Spike them in response. They're going to crack. They're going to lose a Petal here just to make a construct. Sure. Right, we can Soul Spike this if we feel the need. A Mox Diamond, so we're probably losing this. They discard the forest, yeah, okay. They're making a construct here? No, they're floating some mana around. Okay, they are making a construct. Sure. Are they going to Thoughtseize us? They are. I will kill their guy and gain 4 life. So they take 2. They've got nothing apart from this Saga. I believe the power of the One Ring will carry us through. Let's go in. So next time we can just do like a big Necrodominance and dome our opponent. We don't have that many pitch spells though. It's just the Soul Spikes left in our deck, right? And the Unmasks. And the Unmasked we don't get to use the turn we draw them because they're sorcery speed. I'll fetch in response so they can't Pithing Needle our land. Let's get Shadowy Backstreet going. Get rid of this Leyline. We'll show our opponent that there are Leylines in our deck. But they're going to end up with a 4-4 now. So they're going to take us down from 20 life. But if we can draw a Sheoldred, we can just dump the Sheoldred into play, tap the One Ring, and then our opponent has a real bad time against that. We do still have Fell the Profanes in our deck. And Unmask. Let's draw some cards. A Sheoldred the Apocalypse, you say? I could hit my opponent for 8 life and put them to 10. Do I need to do that now? If I'm going to chump block with this, I probably do need to do that now. Get rid of the Leyline here, just in case we need a hit and hope of drawing a bunch of cards. Well, it's not really a hit and hope when we have Sheoldred in play. So let's see if our opponent can muster any more artifacts. If they can't... Well, we still have to block here. But if they attack with both creatures, then they're dead on the backswing, right? Well, not quite, but it's pretty close. We'll take 5 here, and then we take another 4, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so we've got a lot of Sheoldred goodness to come our way now. I will attack. Should have drawn these cards first, but it is what it is. Alright, we will yield to these. Play this out. We will deploy the One Ring first. We will keep the one with all the counters on. Yeah, our opponent sees the writing on the wall there. Alright, do we want to have a little bit more removal to deal with those pesky little critters? I don't know. Like on the play, they're probably more likely to go down the combo route. Maybe we want a little bit more removal, but I don't know if that's true. Like that worked, right? We won that game, so I guess we're fine. Lane on the Void with no mana. That is unfortunate. I don't think we can keep this one. If we had 1 mana source instead of this Necrodominance, we'd be fine. The Troll not being a land there is kind of big. We have a lot of disruption here. We do have a payoff in the One Ring. Is that better than having the Necrodominance payoff? I think it is. I guess the Soul Spike probably goes here. We will need to find some more mana. So our opponent is probably going to Veil of Summer whatever we do here. But if they don't have the Veil of Summer, this is a big success for us. So I think we are incentivized to fire this off. And we've just drawn another Unmask. And none of our spells really cost mana. Apart from the ones that let us draw all the cards. So we've got hope that our opponent can't kill us this turn. And then we need to find some interaction. Oh, sorry, some mana on top of our interaction. Tropical Island. Thought Seize. Read them and weep, opponents. They're probably going to take the Necro here. They could take a Duress. We'll see. I did take the Necro because that's the card draw engine that we are closest to firing off right now. They shuffled off that Ponder, so they're not floating anything they really want on top. That's good news for us. A Soul Spike. Let's Duress our opponent. Are they going to Veil of Summer using this? They are not. I think I'm going to take Thoughtseize here. We want the One Ring to actually do something. Do I want to take this Dark Ritual? I don't think so. We can let them draw a couple of cards here. Like obviously some of the stuff they can play out to the board, but a lot of it is going to be stuff that is going to be stuck in their hand. Like tutors and fast mana like rituals. Can I draw a ritual? No. We have a plan though. Okay, I think we pass for another turn, then the turn after we unmask. If we can get this Cellarspawn going, we've got some damages available to us. So we've got 11 just straight up here. If we draw another black card, or if we draw 2 more black cards, then we can just kill our opponent. More or less. Right, Verdant Catacombs out. Let's pedal down. Wonder if they've got any more Surveil lands. I think they do. Do I want to go for this Unmasked line, or am I... I think I'm waiting for one more land. My opponent has 2 cards in hand. It's likely that this Dark Ritual doesn't matter for whatever they're casting right now. If they draw something. Right, another land. That's probably not what they wanted to see. I don't think land was the problem last turn. Alright, we got something. What were you going to do here, opponent? A basic. Black source. This is going to be a ritual. Okay. Maybe we are going to get punished for not unmasking last turn. An Infernal Tutor. I have to... So they basically drew the Infernal Tutor this turn. That's what makes sense here. Otherwise they would have done this play last turn. So them having the Dark Ritual just gives them a little bit more mana after the fact, but they've got plenty of mana. That's not really the gate. So they probably cast that spell that lets them replay their graveyard. Is that lethal? I don't know. They probably have to crack their low spells to do it, but then they have... This is Storm 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so they're playing this one. So we probably have to Soul Spike them now. Alright, opponent, off you go. Dark Ritual, because if we don't, then they get to cast the Veil of Summer. So Storm count 7, they need Storm count 12. I think they're pretty comfortably going to get to it here. They've got plenty of mana. They can fire off the Ponder if they want to. They probably need to, yeah, like I was going to say, they probably need to Inferno Tutor first before they start casting Ponders. So we've got Storm count 9. They've got, what, Thought Seizers as well, but they need the black mana. This is going to be tight, actually, whether or not they can get to the right number. They shuffled. We have cast a black spell this turn. So they do have access to their Veil of Summer. Sorry, to their... This is exactly lethal, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 4. So they have exactly lethal. We were close. Alright, we unfortunately fell at the last hurdle there. That is unfortunate for us. And this is easily the worst league we've had with this deck. So we went 4-1 and 4-1, and now we have a 2-3. That's still a 10-5 record overall, which is a 66% win rate, which is decent. But let's talk about this list and what felt good and what didn't. So, first thing to think of today is the format has obviously shifted since we played this last time. So last time there were things like Vexing Bauble in the format that obviously stopped a lot of our spells resolving because we're pitching them. But what that card did at the same time was reduce the amount of people playing these fair sort of blue counterspell decks. So we saw that blue-white old school style deck. And that would have been completely unplayable, I think, during the previous format. I think, I'm not sure it's great right now. It doesn't necessarily feel like where you want to be. But it certainly cooked us up an absolute treat there. So that's fair enough. So how did it feel? So the Cabal Rituals, again, these are fine, but they are so much worse than Dark Ritual. I know it's not exactly big news that that's the case, but they do feel a lot worse. Just adding us 1 mana, like accelerating into turn 2 Necrodominance is fine, but it's a turn 3 One Ring, whereas the Dark Ritual makes that turn 2, and that feels like a world of difference to me. And in this league, we never really did like turn 2 Ritual into... we never did like Cabal Ritual into Necrodominance on turn 2. We didn't have many Necrodominance draws this league. We had a lot more One Ring draws that we had to sort of try and leverage. I think the Sneak and Show matchup is going to be difficult, and we probably need to have something more to address that. We could play more Hand Disruption, which is a good way of going about it. And the blue-white matchup, I don't think we're going to be able to fix that very much. Again, more Hand Disruption will probably fix that a little bit, but we're just going to have to try and thread the needle a bit there. They're very good against what we're trying to do because they can one-for-one a bunch of stuff and then answer our big draw engines, and then we never really get anywhere. As for the last game against the Storm deck, we just couldn't really get our engines up and running. I think maybe we could have mulliganed slightly harder and just try and put our engine in play and get that running, because they gave us loads of time. Right, we had loads of time to win that game, and we just couldn't string together a win. So I think that was on us more than like their deck just crushing us. It was our deck losing that game. So definitely some thoughts on this one. I didn't miss having the Fatal Pushes in the main, so that's good. I think we can still mess around with like 1 or 2 Cabal Rituals. Maybe we want to have another piece of discard in the main deck. Maybe that would help us out a little bit. But like the deck still felt pretty good. Like the first 2 rounds, we just sailed through them. And our Drowsy is obviously one of the top decks in the format right now, and we just kind of bulldozed them. But there is now a lot more like blue counter magic-y type stuff. Because before, we were absolutely farming the Mystic Forge decks. Because yes, they have Vexing Bauble, we don't care. We're just doming them a bunch. We absolutely slaughtered them in a bunch of in the 2 leagues we played. Like Sheoldred is just really good against them. We can drain their life out a big bunch. The One Ring stops them from killing us and means they have to pass a turn when we just get to go again and do some more stuff. We can kill their Glaring Fleshrakers easily. It just felt pretty good to us. So that deck being less represented in the meta now obviously means that we are missing out on one of our better matchups, I think. I think the Mystic Forge deck is still very, very good. Like, you don't get your 4 Vexing Bauble, so you don't just get to send it all the time, but you get to play 2 more Mystic Forge, and then you can play like 2 Defense Grid or whatever you want in the other slots, and you're still going to be just as good into all the non-blue decks. And that's a pretty powerful place to be, and you just have more must-answer spells for your opponent. Or, well, I suppose less, because the Vexing Bauble is a must-answer spell. But what you would do around Vexing Bauble is you would have your Consign to Memories as your main way of dealing with that deck. And then with the builds now, people are relying slightly more on Force of Will. So having to Force of Will more Mystic Forges is a bit on the awkward side. But yeah, I still like this deck. I don't have it in paper, but I kind of wish I did. It is really fun to play. The mana base kind of came back to bite us a little bit. I think if we're putting the Fatal Pushes into the sideboard, maybe we just want Swamps here, because there was a few turns where we didn't have that much black mana against the Sickening Shoal deck, and also we lost a little bit of life here and there. I don't think that really mattered too much, though. Maybe it's still fine. Maybe we could have the Swamps on set. And we did have a hand that we couldn't keep because I had a Troll of Khazad-dûm in it. And we also got a bit jammed up by having a enters the battlefield tap land. So maybe I'll try it with just some Swamps next time around. But you'll definitely be seeing this deck again on the channel. I absolutely adore playing it. It is really fun. And it genuinely feels pretty powerful. We're doing some pretty busted stuff. But that's Legacy for you. Alright. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help the channel out. I'm trying to grow the channel as much as I can this year. I would like to hit 1 million views in just this calendar year. That's kind of like my big achievement I'm aiming for. So any sort of comments, likes, subscribes, all that sort of stuff does help push it in the old algorithm. Alright, once again, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.